Enthusiasm is a very interesting thing. How to awaken it. Living in the moment is really the way. And we can't do that if we're constantly thinking what somebody else has, I don't have. That takes us out of the moment. We have to really be here and now. The desires that we have, that we wish things to be different than they are, is what keeps us from being unhappy. There's a reason why these things are happening. And there's a reason why your estimation of what you'd like to happen in the world is not showing up at the time that you'd like. What keeps us, or what allows us to find enthusiasm in our life, is when we sit in the stillness and we realize meditation is really the key to how to increase our enthusiasm, increase our happiness. We only have this moment. And how are we going to greet it? Are we going to be unhappy because things aren't turning out our way? Are we going to be jealous about way things are looking to us that somebody else has? I always love the thought, too, that, if I'm saying, wow, look at what they have, or wow, life is so much better for them. There's a part of me that says, I wouldn't be able to identify that as being something that I want, unless it was something that I had a desire for, that I was able to create in my own self. It's not so much that they have it, they've manifested already. Last night I was having dinner with friends of mine, and just to get a little insight on what how this all kind of happened too, is my friends, they asked me what I was doing today, and I said I'm speaking about awakening enthusiasm at a spiritual symposium called How to Be Happy All the Time. And her initial response was, oh, geez, how to be happy all the time. I mean, it seems like a very lofty and kind of out of touch, out of reach. And some people think that finding happiness and being happy all the time is kind of being silly and lighthearted, but it's really not. I mean, when you really live from a place of happiness, there is a different quality about it. And I'm thinking, what brings us, what keeps us away from being happy or enthusiastic? And it's actually desire. The desire that things be different than they are is what brings us into unhappiness. And so it's just that if you come away with nothing other than that today from whatever comes out of my mouth, but the desires that we have, that we wish things to be different than they are, is what keeps us from being unhappy. So just imagine if you could shift your mind so that whenever anything happens, you realize that there is a reason. That there's a reason why these things are happening. And there's a reason why your estimation of what you'd like to happen in the world is not showing up at the time that you'd like. Like God works on a different time frame than us, if you haven't noticed. God kind of brings it to you when you're, not necessarily when you're wanting it, it's when you're ready to receive it. And so enthusiasm is something that I feel pretty natural about. My husband will tell you, I wake up in the morning and I get up pretty early to do my morning meditation. Most times my first response is not that I'm joyful to get up at 4:30. It's not like, woohoo, I'm out of bed. There's an effort behind it. But my second thought is, I get to be with Master. I get to quiet myself. And it's in those moments of peace and quiet that we find in meditation that God speaks to us. It may not even happen then. It's kind of that same idea that God doesn't come to us when we expect it. It's not while I'm sitting there, there's the sky open and I see all great things. It's after that. It's like days later where something will come to me, where my intuition picks up something that works. That I'm like, wow, that's the answer. I didn't even know I was looking for it. But here it appears. So it's what keeps us, or what allows us to find enthusiasm in our life, is when we sit in the stillness and we realize meditation is really the key to how to increase our enthusiasm, increase our happiness. I was listening a little bit yesterday to a little blurb, the Dead Poets Society. I don't know if you've seen it. Well, and Robin Williams. It's kind of sad. Robin was a very happy guy on the outside, wasn't he? I mean, he could make us giggle over the littlest things, right? But he was very silly, but he was very depressed. He was a very depressed person, and most of us didn't know that because of the way his outer exterior was. So, but this movie was very poignant to me because as a teacher, he was trying to teach his mathematics students about life, a little bit about life. And so one of his questions was I know carpe diem was one of them. What does carpe diem mean? And the students answered what it was, seize the day. And isn't that what we're trying to do as well? It's when we forget that it's just now, it's this moment, that's all we have. Carpe diem, seize the day. And then the next one was, he quoted the poem from, I think it's John Keener? Hold on, Keener. Yeah, Robert Keener. Who cares? See, gather ye rosebuds while ye may. You know, gather ye rosebuds while you may. And he asked the students what he thought that it meant. And what they thought it meant was, you're in a hurry, you got to get things moving in a hurry. But no, we have to appreciate what is in front of us. You know, the roses only last for a short period of time. And his message was, really, we're only here for a short period of time. You know, he called it, we're food for the worms, basically. You know, and he showed a big photographic gallery of all these faces of people who had gone through that school, and they were all dead. And it's true, you know, we forget that we only have this moment. And how are we going to greet it? Are we going to be unhappy because things aren't turning out our way? Are we going to be jealous about way things are looking to us that somebody else has? I always love the thought, too, that, you know, if I'm saying, wow, look at what they have, you know, or wow, life is so much better for them. You know, there's a part of me that says, I wouldn't be able to identify that as being something that I want, unless it was something that I had a desire for that I was able to create in my own self. It's not so much that they have it, they manifest it already. So, you know, enthusiasm is a very interesting thing, how to awaken it. You know, living in the moment is really the way. And we can't do that if we're constantly thinking, what somebody else has, I don't have. That takes us out of the moment. We have to really be here and now. Let me just check on one thing here. I heard that over here.
Should we close it?
Yeah, everything is for our growth, right? Nothing comes to us that isn't something of importance for us to learn from. And that's another big thing that I found really helpful for enthusiasm, for me, to realize that it may not feel good, but it's something that is coming to me so that I can push through it, understand it, and be able to live a little freer. But it's when I keep in my head the things that aren't going right, that don't fulfill me. So, you know, I found that we're moving right now, so we're packing up a lot of things. And as I'm going through my papers, I came across a couple journals that I had written back in 1990. Okay, I know, I'm very old, 1990. And as I was reading through them, you know, I couldn't go through the first few pages because they were so depressing. And it was such a sad place to be. And I remember vaguely that place. And what shifted for me was the day that I realized that God really was there for me. That when I walked into Ananda village and started to take a class on how to become a yoga teacher, meditation teacher, it's when I realized through the teachings just how important it is to have that relationship. You know, I was a Christian. I went to church every Sunday with my parents from the time I was a little girl. And I believe, and Christ is one of my gurus for sure. But it wasn't until I actually started doing the work, doing the meditation, getting up, reading the books. You know, that's another reason or another way that enthusiasm works, is it's that constant desire to learn. On this path, I giggle. I mean, there's never an end to learning. There's always a new book to read. There's always another class to take. There's always the community of people that I want to be in that's going to boost my feeling and my ability to be happy, right? So I find that once I started to actually do the work, and it's not even, somebody said to me, this path is really hard. I'm like, really? Yeah, there's a lot of steps to it. But the truth is, once you give yourself up to it, and you realize that the work is really what brings me inner joy. You know, the word Ananda means joy. And it's not the outside giddy joy. It's not that. Yes, we have moments of that. But it's that inner joy that everything kind of comes into the way it's supposed to be. There's a relief in knowing that there's this inner happiness that I live with. I don't get upset as much anymore. Things don't bother me. I'm not living waiting for something else to change. I'm enthusiastic. I make it happen. They say, like when you ride, as an example, when you ride a roller coaster, you feel that thrill of excitement, right? You think, wow, this is really great. But it's enthusiasm that it takes enthusiasm to actually build that roller coaster. That's what it takes. It takes focus and willingness and the desire to be able to step in and do that work. Riding it is easy, but it's actually doing the work of holding the pieces all together. And that takes a lot of effort. So I'm just going to give you a couple. I don't know what time I started. We got a little late, but I'm sure I'm not over yet. So you have me. Oh, well, let me tell you the other thing. See, I'm using my notes. I'm so happy. The other thing that really helped me a lot was when I came across those 3 questions. The 3 questions that all the great saints and sages have been asking for centuries. Who am I? What do I want? And what is my purpose? I use them pretty regularly in my own life. I teach them as well. And, once you realize who you are, when you get away from all the exterior stuff about who you think you are, like, you think you're your house, you think of your kids, you think of the title that you created, all the degrees that you've accumulated, all those exterior things. But when you look back on it, they don't really make you happy, do they? Like the degree becomes, something that you put on the wall and you pass it in passing. Your possessions all get tarnished. I mean, you buy a new car and, just about the time you drive it off the lot, it doesn't bring you any happiness. It's just a car. You get inside it, this car looks the same as the last car I drove. I look out from the windshield, it's all the same. So once you realize that, what are you after? When all those things that you understand or that you think are you, that you've placed a lot of effort in, when they're all gone, who really are you at your core? And at the base of your core, I'm here to tell you that you're a child of the Creator of God. That there's nothing else. When everything is gone, when we're left, leave the body, we return to God. And that's who you are, your source. A child of the Creator of God. Now, if you think that God breathed life into you, gave you your first breath, watches you, knows your name and your face and everything about you, since the beginning of time and eons of time, that you don't have a spark of that in you, come on, if we had God in us, imagine we would explode. I can't even get my head wrapped around that, but imagine just a spark of God lives in you. What power that could be. The God who holds universes together, effortlessly, breathed life into you and gives you that as well. So that's why your words have power. Whenever you say something, have you noticed? If you think that negative thoughts, all of a sudden more negativity comes into your life. If you think positive things, all of a sudden you start to look at your life differently. You start to feel enthusiastic about life. You're not dragging yourself down by thinking the negatives are you. They're all like, it doesn't work for me, it doesn't happen for me. No, God's desire, God's will, God's purpose lives within you. So just try to live from that place just for a few days. When you go outside, look at everything as being the creation of God, the thought of God, everything. We're standing on things that were the thought of God in the creation of someone's mind. See God in everything. Brings about a lot of enthusiasm. What do I want is the next question. What do I want? I could have anything I want. What am I looking for? Am I looking for the smallness of life, the little things? Or am I able to create bigger things with my thoughts? Don't think so small. You have power to create the big things, whatever it is you're looking for in your life. And what is my purpose? You didn't come here for nothing. You didn't come here just to be another cell on the planet, to just move through mindlessly. No, you came with an idea and a purpose. Because this is the training ground. This is education. This is where we learn. So if you're not fulfilling, you don't have an idea what your purpose is, you start asking that you be of service. Because that's really what we all need right now, is for every one of us to be of service. And it's amazing when you step out of yourself and you start to become serviceful to others, you start to feel an incredible amount of joy and happiness and enthusiasm for life.